So here is the code of our original if statement problem loaded into .NET-Fiddle.NET. We'll be modifying this for our select case. Actually, you'll notice this is the corrected version. It has the conditions in the if statements in the correct order. Anyhow, we'll first select the code we want to paste into Visual Studio. Now notice I'm not selecting any of the structural code at the top or at the bottom, just the code we wrote between the header, where it says submain, and the end sub that matches up at the bottom. Right, so now that I've got copied that for later, I'm going to run VirtualBox and get that up and running. Now you'll find VirtualBox in the Start menu under Computing. In there you'll see NKS VBox 2021 Virtual Machine, and you can click that. But knowing it starts with NKS, you can just type NKS into the search menu, just press the Start button and type NKS, and it'll find VBox straight away, so just click on it there. Now when you open VirtualBox, if it's been used on that machine before, you'll have the option to load it up as if it was in the last session, or switch to the No option to reset the VirtualBox to its factory settings. I would recommend using that so you don't have to put up with any changes made by the last student to use it. So when you're ready, press the button and start the VirtualBox. Now this opens and starts loading our full version of Windows 10 inside its own window. Now we've designed this to allow you to do things like running your own programs without any risk to our own network. This is what we often call a sandbox, a place to play. It's only linked to our network in a very special way, and we'll explore that in a little bit. So once we're on the desktop, we can choose to close the pop-up message at the top, and you'll notice that it's taking up most of the screen space above the real Windows 10 toolbar, but it sometimes loads with a slightly wrong screen height, so there's a kind of grey bar at the top and down at the bottom, just above the real Windows 10 toolbar. So to fix that, we can just press the middle of the three buttons in the top right of the window, just to drop it into a smaller window. Now notice that the smaller window now has the Windows 10 toolbar now right at the bottom of the screen. So pressing the middle button again will maximise the window, and you'll notice that the gaps are now gone. Our black VirtualBox toolbar is now sitting snugly just above the standard sort of dark grey Windows 10 taskbar for the actual computer we're on. So once up and running, I can now select the purple Visual Studio icon on the toolbar to launch the application. Visual Studio then launches, and it will take us into its welcome menu, which looks a bit like most other apps. Recent projects over on the left, and on the right some buttons to open and create projects. So we want to press the bottom button to create a new project. Now to make things easier, we've pinned the 4 project types that our students usually use over on the left, so you don't have to delve into the awful list on the right. Our pinned projects cover 2 Visual Basic ones and 2 C# ones for our A-level students. Now matching .NET Fiddle, we're going to use the top one, the console app for Visual Basic. We'll be exploring the form-based apps, the one at the bottom, later in Year 8 and during Year 9, but for the time being, console. So once chosen, we can click Next. Now the first thing for us to do is to give the project a name. So for this, I'm going to call this 8K Select Case Demo. It's important for you to name the project so you can later recognise them. Now to the tricky topic of where to save your file. So let's open File Explorer and take a look at the options we've got. Now let's switch to this PC, and you'll notice that this virtual PC has a C drive, which is where Windows and programs like Visual Studio are stored. But if you save your stuff on there, if the next person using the virtual PC decides to reset to factory settings, all your saved work will be lost. So that's why we have the E drive, VirtualBox files. Now if I look inside there, you'll see that I've got a lot of different projects already, of course. And if I load up File Explorer from our main PC, you'll see that I have RM Staff, which you don't see, but RM Shared that you do. I also have my MyWork network folder, the N drive. Now if I go inside there, notice I have a VirtualBox files folder in there as well, and guess what? This contains exactly the same stuff. It is the same folder. So students in the past have said to me that they think of the E drive as being like a kind of trap door that drops you out of the VirtualBox and into the main network. It allows you to drop things through and load things up. It's a kind of way of getting in and out of the VirtualBox. So how do we save our project there? Well, back on the new project dialog box, I can use the drop down just next to location and select the E drive. So the name is in place, the location is in place, so we click create. Now this will take 10 seconds or so to go off and create the project in the place we asked. And if we pop there now, you'll see that the new project folder has been created. Inside that folder, a project file we can open later to access the project again has been created. And underneath you can see our blank new project is there, a bit like a blank program in .NET Fiddle. So if you remember, we copied the code previously from our .NET Fiddle project. So now I can paste that code directly into the Visual Studio project. And I can just run that using this little green triangle up here at the top, the little play button. And it should operate just like it does in .NET Fiddle. The code asks for a mark, so let's put 66 in, which should give us a merit result. And, the window closes before I can see the result. Now that's because the program ended, and so the window just closed. This is the one little anomaly with Visual Studio. When it gets to the end of the program, everything you see vanishes. We can stop it closing at the end by simply adding a console.read line at the very end, and this will cause it to wait for the user to press enter. It's like a fake input. So running the code now, you'll see that if I put 66 in, it generates the correct answer, and we've got time to actually look, and we can close the program down by pressing enter whenever we wish. Right, okay, for the purpose that we actually came here for, which is to adjust the code into select case, the alternative format for if, so we can have a look and see what that looks like. So we first need to add a line, select case, just above where the if statement is, and we add the variable we want to test, that's mark, at the end. So we go select case mark. So to start destroying the if statement, the best thing to do is to change the end if at the end to end select, so it matches up with the select we've got at the top. And then I can remove the ifs, the else ifs, and the thens from the if lines. I'm going to start by just taking out the thens at the end, because that's something we don't need for select case, and I'm going to remove all the else ifs as well, and the variable mark from every single line. And all I have to do is replace that with case is. So for each of those inequalities, I have case is greater than or case is less than. I'm allowed to put in a number. Now for the else at the end, we can just replace that with case else. And there it is, a select case version of the if statement. Arguably it's neater than if because it just has the variable it's testing once at the top, it's not all the way through. You can also do a case though for an individual value, not just less than or greater than. So for example, I could change the less than 80 to less than 79 and then add a specific case for 79. So outputting that the person was so close to getting a distinction. A little bit naughty that. Anyhow, this shows how you can take an existing if statement and adjust, modify the if statement into a select case. And your job is to try and do the same thing with the second if example, the one based on age and vehicles. Try that yourself. Now we showed that we could copy the code from .NET Fiddle or OneNote and put it into Visual Studio, but I can do the reverse. So if I select the code inside this main subroutine, the lines that I've actually written, I can copy this, and then switching over to a completely blank .NET Fiddle project, I can paste my code inside that main subroutine in there, and we now have the code we can edit from home. Of course, you can also paste your code into OneNote, and I would always recommend having a text version of your code sitting in OneNote, maybe on the right-hand side, just so that you've got it there backed up and it's easy to grab it and use it when you need it. Finally, back in Visual Studio, to close everything down, you need to do it a bit carefully. Save and close your Visual Studio project, and then once that's done, make sure you don't hit the top right X button to close it down like you would on a normal program. If you do this, it will ask you to save a thing called a snapshot, and this is a massively large file saved on the hard disk, uses loads and loads and wastes loads and loads of space, and often makes the VirtualBox a bit unstable. So please remember to shut it down the following way. Go to the Start menu, hit Power, and then Shut Down. This closes the VirtualBox properly and safely and keeps it in good condition. Anyhow, good luck with your select case modify task, and don't forget to record your evidence in OneNote so we can see that you've done it.